Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I know that everybody's been waiting for, as a matter of fact, for months now. Some of these actually got to the Supreme Court back in February. Here we are at the end of May. But people have been waiting to see whether or not the Supreme Court is going to take up one of these incredibly important cases. I mean, we're talking about cases dealing with modern rifle bans, magazine restrictions and limitations. There's several different lawsuits currently sitting before the Supreme Court right now, like Harold v. Raoul and so forth. Well, the Supreme Court just keeps punting these things down, and last Thursday they had another conference to determine what they were going to do with them. Now, we had a day off for the Supreme Court yesterday, so when things would typically come out yesterday, they didn't. Instead, the results of last conference came out today, so we're going to talk about what happened to all of these different cases. Let's get to it. Now, before we get started, I know I mentioned this quite a bit, but more than half the people that watch these videos are still not yet subscribed. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It only takes a second, but it really helps us expand and grow and get our message out to more people. If you're somebody that wants to stay on top of your constitutional rights, go ahead and hit that little alarm bell. I've been doing this for about 12 years now, and we're going to keep pushing forward. So a huge thank you to everybody that supported this channel up until this point, and a thank you to everybody who subscribes today. Let's get to it. Okay, so why don't we start off by taking a look at what's before the Supreme Court right now so that you have a better understanding of exactly what's at stake. Each one of these cases was set for conference on May 23rd, which again was last Thursday, so that's when they were up for consideration. Now, the first one is going to be Harold v. Raoul. That is an excellent case which challenges Illinois' so-called assault weapons ban, their magazine capacity restrictions, and so forth, and it asked the court several questions. That's one that I would love to see them take. We also have Herrera v. Raoul, which falls more along the lines of whether or not these devices and these tools are actually protected by the text of the Second Amendment. And then we have Barnett v. Raoul, and the question there is whether Illinois' sweeping ban on common and long lawful arms violates the Second Amendment. So again, they're just basically asking the court to clarify that, hey, what they're doing there in Illinois is actually a violation of our constitutional rights. And then we have the NAGR v. City of Naperville, and you could read that there. That's kind of a long one where they ask, again, several questions about the common use test. And you can see here it says whether the state of Illinois' ban of certain handguns is constitutional in light of the holding in DC v. Heller. Handgun bans are categorically unconstitutional, and then there's a couple more questions after that, but that's a very important one as well. And then we also have Langley v. Kelly, whether the state of Illinois' absolute ban of certain commonly owned semi-automatic handguns is constitutional in the light of the holding of DC v. Heller, that handgun bans are categorically unconstitutional. Again, this is similar to the NAGR. And then whether the state of Illinois' absolute ban on commonly owned semi-automatic handgun magazines over 15 is constitutional. So again, these are all challenging either bans or limitations and restrictions. Each one of these is in some ways a little bit different. And then lastly here we have the GOA v. Raoul, and their question to the Supreme Court is whether Illinois' categorical ban on millions of the most commonly owned firearms and ammunition magazines in the nation, including the AR, violates the Second Amendment. So that is the basic breakdown of what those questions are, and those are the cases that are currently sitting before the Supreme Court right now, just waiting for their moment. Now, if you saw my last video, you know we've been waiting on this for quite a while, because the first time that these things went to conference, we all waited for that following Monday to see whether or not they would take any of them, whether they would just maybe GVR them, so they would grant, vacate, and remand back down to the lower courts. Like, what were they going to do? There should be some movement. The only case that we ended up losing was the Maryland case, so they basically, launched that one out. But these other ones were still set for a further conference on the 23rd. Well, like I said before, there was a day off yesterday, so today they released the fact that, again, they have decided to completely punt these down the road to another conference. Conference is set for May 30th, which is just day after tomorrow. So again, another Thursday conference. Now, when they were punted the first time, so they went, from that first conference to the 23rd, I thought, okay, maybe they needed more time to research. They need more time to, look up whether or not one kind of conflicts with the other, or they're too similar, or maybe they're going to take one over another, and they're still doing their job, right? Whether or not they're going to take one was still kind of up in the air. But now here we are, and, some of these are on their second or third time up for consideration, and they're still punting them down the line. Doesn't give me all that much hope. It kind of takes some of that hope away. And I'm hearing that leading scholars in this area are actually saying that if it goes to conference this Thursday and we don't hear anything again, it's an extremely bad sign. And I would be stunned if the Supreme Court doesn't take something this time, because obviously with the amount of questions that are being asked, the number of lawsuits that have made their way to the Supreme Court, it is absolutely high time that they take one of these and simply answer some of these questions that we're asking. That is their job. This is a constitutional question. We want clarification. We want to know things, and we want the government set straight. We want the lower courts to know that what they're doing is they're ignoring Heller, they're ignoring Bruen. In a lot of cases, they are just completely twisting it and rewording it so that it fits their own personal agendas, and then they're coming out with these rulings that are just absolutely ludicrous, a lot of them. And so this stuff is I mean, it's all over the place, and the Supreme Court is the one that needs to step in and take these. So for me, there's got to be other people out there that are as pissed as I am. Now, I checked on every single one of these cases. I went to each one of their docket numbers and I checked the schedule to see exactly what's going on. And every single one that we mentioned here today has been reset for hearing on Thursday, the 30th, day after tomorrow. So, the chance is not gone, right? It's just very minimal at this point. We'll see what happens. But we're not going to find anything out again until next Monday. So as of right now, they just keep punting it down the line and not taking responsibility for, being in charge or being above the inferior courts. And so I just wanted to make you guys aware that's what's going on right now. It doesn't seem like anybody is working for us, and they're just letting it go because they don't want to be responsible for saying the truth, that they are protected by the Constitution, that they are not bannable, and these things are since before the founding of this country and since before the Constitution, legally able to be owned, possessed, and bared by us. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.